So if you clicked on this video, then I'm assuming that you're on your real estate journey. Or maybe you're just about to start, or maybe you've already started, or maybe you're thinking about it. But, as someone who just recently took my real estate exam, I feel like I have really good tips and tricks that will be able to help you pass your real estate exam on your first try. But before we do that, really quickly, I just want to start something on this channel. It's just a weekly update of your favorite music or maybe your favorite song. And, for me, for the past couple of days, I've been listening to Slow Dancing in a Burning Room by John Mayer, acoustic version, nonstop. Beautiful song. But yeah, let's get into it. So first and foremost, I want you to really ask yourself, right? Why am I getting into real estate? And I want you to do that because a lot of people go into real estate for all the wrong reasons. A lot of people think that they're going to be millionaires within a year or two, and that's just not realistic, okay? I mean, it's not impossible, I guess, but the likelihood of that happening is very little. But yeah, for the most part, it's a lot of time and commitment, right? It's very expensive just to even sign on and everything. And something that my broker or my coach really emphasize is whether or not you have someone supporting you, or if you can support yourself through the entire process, right? Because a lot of data shows that first year realtors don't make their first close, or they don't close their first deal for at least 6 months. So yeah, if you're not really ready to put your time and effort into this industry, then I say that kind of maybe rethink about it. But if you are ready, then let's move forward. All right, so if you're still sticking around, then I'm assuming that you're ready to put your all into real estate. And for that, I'm very happy for you because, basically you want to make a difference for yourself and your family. And for that, good job. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, there are two things. You can either take in-person courses, like going into an actual class and then learning from an instructor, or you can do it online. I decided to do it online because I just like learning at my own pace, but it might be different for you. So I can only speak from an online perspective. Anyways, so my biggest tip is to basically not read everything. Just don't do it, please. For the one that I did Calibri, where I think it used to be Real Estate Express. I'm not really sure. But basically on Calibri, I had 52 chapters. There was no way I was going to get through all those chapters within like 2 to 3 months, right? Because that was the deadline I gave myself. I didn't want to spend too much time doing it. So what I recommend you do is to basically just skim through everything. Because, realistically, a lot of it is a little irrelevant. I'm not saying that you can't read it, but just for time's sake, don't read everything. Just click through the material, skim through it, write down whatever notes you want to write that you think is important, and then just get through the quizzes. Because the most important part is actually after the pre-licensing course, right? So yeah, my biggest tip is basically just to get through the course. You can read it if you want because it does help you a little bit, but the most important part is basically just getting through the material. All right, so after you finish your pre-licensing course, you're going to be able to schedule your real estate exam. And I think just really understanding when your date is at is really important, because if you know when your exam is going to be at, you'll be able to really hone in on what you need to study, right? And which leads into my second tip, which is study. Study, please. Please. If you're not going to do anything else, study. I can't emphasize that enough. You really need to study. Especially for my younger folks who's never bought a home before or know nothing about mortgages or those type of things. Really study. There's a lot of terms that you're really just not going to know. So I really recommend you just spend at least 2 hours a day studying. For me personally, I used Prep Agent and Calibri. Calibri is the one that I used for my pre-licensing course. But They also offer like the studying program as well, which was really useful for my state portion of the exam. Prep agent itself was really good for me, just to really learn the terms, right? And it was really good for my national portion of the exam. And if you're curious, the way that I studied was basically I would go on Prep Agent, I would look at their terms, write it down, maybe like 5 terms at a time. And then I would basically look at the terms, read through it, say it out loud, say it a couple times until I memorized it, and then I'll add another 5 terms, and then I'll go through those 10 terms, and then I would basically just say them out loud until I really memorize them. And then maybe that'll be it for the day. And then, when I came back the next day, I would redo that same page and I would just move forward, right? And additionally to that, on Prep Agent, they also have exams, practice exams. So I did those as well. Really great for the national portion of the exam for me. So that's kind of what I did. There might be better ways of studying. I'm not sure. If you have a better way, please let me know in the comments. I would be more than glad to learn a different way of studying. But yeah, so like I said, I used Prep Agent, and then for Calibri, it was really good for my state portion of the test. If I did not use Calibri, I don't think I would have passed the exam. So, I'm not saying that these two are the best possible platforms for you to use, but that's just what I used, okay? Calibri was really good because it was a lot more like the exam questions. So just their format and everything was really familiar to me when I was filing in the exam room, right? So yeah, that's basically how I studied. And going back to what I said, please study. I can't emphasize that enough. If you study, you will for sure get through everything. And one of my other tips is basically to, I think flashcards are really useful. I don't do flashcards personally because I think it just takes a lot of time just to write them down. So I'd rather just write it down and then just read it out, right? Well, I guess that's a little conflicting. Anyways, if flashcards works, then that's great. If you want to do summaries, that's pretty good too as well. If you look through your pre-licensing course, they do have a lot of summaries that you can read, and that will be really useful because if you look at a lot of the terms, you can fit them into like certain categories, right? Like maybe your literal rights and your riparian rights, you can just throw those under like maybe water related something like that. So just things like that would be really great. And I'm sure you have your own personal way of studying, so yeah. So it's a few weeks, or maybe it's like the week leading up to your exam. What I don't want you to do is to cram, okay? Don't cram something new that you've been putting off the entire time, because it will distract you from everything else. And one of the biggest mistakes that I did was basically putting off the math portion of everything, because I'm just not really that great at math. So I've always was procrastinating about doing the math things. So the final week of it, I was just like, okay, you know what, let's forget it. I'm not even gonna focus on the math things anymore. I'm gonna go 100% at everything else to make sure that the math portion, even if I fail those, that they're not gonna hurt me, right, or hurt my score. So that's what I did. And luckily I did pass, because I really did focus on everything else, which kind of negated the effects of the math portion. But my opinion, if you have time, don't do that. It's a lot better for you to just be able to understand everything else. So don't do what I did, which is basically waiting to cram. Well, I guess in my situation, I didn't really cram. I just to forget it. So yeah, if you're in my situation and you really don't know a certain category or a certain section, maybe just forget it, man. Maybe you can salvage your score through all the other sections. All right, so maybe your exam is 1 to 2 days away now and you're getting a little bit nervous. Well, my advice to you is to just relax. You've already done the hard work. You've already been studying 2 to 4 hours every day for a whole month or two. there's no way you're gonna fail, okay? You've already been preparing enough. You've been studying for your state exam. You've been studying for your national exam. You've been using multiple platforms like I told you to. You're gonna breeze through it, okay? You're gonna go through it and you're gonna be like, wow, you know, it's really not even as difficult as Dennis made it seem. Because it's not, okay? I think the thing that's gonna trip most people up is basically, you know, when you look at a term, you understand the definition, right? But when they use it in certain or in different contexts that you're not used to, it's probably going to trip you up. So my advice is to understand a term and then put it into different situations or different scenarios so that you really understand how to use that word, right? If you can do that, you're going to breeze through everything. Guaranteed. Okay? And if you don't do it, they can come back here and yell at me. I'll let you do that. But yeah, you know, for the most part, I think if you study very well, you're gonna do just fine. So don't worry about it. For the last few days leading up to your exam, relax, review things that you're a little bit confused about, and you're gonna get through it. And you know, once you pass your real estate exam, the process of, you know, what is it? Getting your application approved is basically a little long. Okay, is your application? I don't remember. Is your application? But basically, just to get your license, right? It's a little bit long, so give it some time. But during that time, when you're getting your license approved by your local, you know, governing body of realtors, during that time, you can go and talk to brokers and just see if their company is good for you and if you're a good match for them. Personally, I went with Keller Williams, and I don't regret it at all. I've met a lot of great people. I've had a lot of good training, and you know what I'm most excited about is that I'm very new in this industry as well. So if you guys are doing this, then please join me. We can learn together. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have, then please leave a like and a comment and share this video, please. And turn on the notification bell. And I'll see you guys next week. I hope you guys have a great day.